His skin is white just like a ghost, thick Irish roots and his blonde hair. And he sounds like a Chicago superfan, a music nerd with a collection of CDs from here to there. Yes, Andy Dare is in Chicago, interviewing and barbecuing. It's the Andy Dare Show. It's the Andy Dare Show.
Welcome to the Andy Dare Show. I'm your host, Andy. This is episode 139, and I am joined by another person from the whole world of Adam Carolla and his podcast network called Carolla Digital. Today we got Chris Laxamana, and it's the first time for Chris, and but obviously I've been a huge fan of that whole network ever since they started the podcast now over 6 years ago. And as Ace Man or Adam Carolla says, it is a pirate ship built from, the hard work of a bunch of people. Actually, it's not so much a bunch of people. It's kind of a small-knit group, and, it's a very slow turnover. People keep their jobs for a long time there, it seems. Seems like a great environment to be a part of. And I would say that it's nurturing for everybody's little creative, little things that they do on the side. And, when Chris is not being a podcast producer over at Carolla Digital, he is a musician and, singer-songwriter guy, doing some acoustic songs, whatever you name it pretty much. He's got a great singing voice, a real different style to him. And I would definitely recommend that you go to chrislaxamana.com and check out the music. Check out his new podcast, Resume, which actually just premiered last week with a full-length episode with Dr. Drew. And, basically looking back on all the weird random jobs that people have had before they made it to where they are now. And it's an interesting thing. It's a cool topic. One day he just decided to spring the idea onto Adam and said he wants to do it on the network. And it never hurts to ask. And, of course, Adam said yes, and now we have Resume. It's a weekly podcast. Do check it out. You can find it at adamcarolla.com. You can also find it at chrislaxamana.com. And, yes, as I was saying, he's a musician. He has a brand new acoustic EP, I believe 6 songs on there, recorded as part of Mike Dawson and his Front of House podcast. And if you don't know Mike Dawson, he is the voice of the Adam Carolla Show. He's got that smoky voice to him, kind of the announcer. A whole bunch of cool things he's been doing on there since the podcast, began. And he's got his own podcast called Front of House, all about musicians and their different sounds. So he recorded this 6-song EP, and it's great. Check it out. He's got his own style. I'd say it's kind of like Jeff Buckley, or as I say in the episode, Dashboard Confessional with Balls. So, do check it out, chrislaxamana.com for more info. He was a great guest. We did have kind of a shaky connection, and I've been known to curse the Skype gods every once in a while, and it seems like it happens every 4 or 5 episodes for me, but thanks to Chris for having the patience to, have me recall him a couple times. And I think edit it down, it sounds pretty darn good. So for what we had to deal with. So yes, check out the music, check out the new podcast, and he's a great guy, real nice for taking the time out of his Sunday. All right, what else have we got on the docket for today? Yes, the Honeycomb fanzine. Issue 2 is now on stands and in your mailbox as we speak. As I explain the Honeycomb, it's kind of my reaction to me reading this book called Sub Pop USA. I actually got it for Christmas and was reading about it. It is the guys, or Bruce Pavitt, who would later invent Sub Pop Records, which would launch Nirvana, Soundgarden, Mudhoney, Screaming Trees, tons of bands, it's turned into a huge taste-making record label. But actually it started out as a mere fanzine in the early 80s, and it was a really cool idea. he pretty much just would go to live shows. He'd talk about the regional scenes of the time and, put his 2 cents in. And all you had back then in 1982 was a word processor or, in some cases, a typewriter. You put that, then you cut it all up, paste it all up, Xerox it all up, and then send it out to all the record stores, all the venues, all the fans, and it was a great way to spread the word. And I thought, hey, it's 2015. I'm right in the middle of this flimsy digital environment we've got going on where you Snapchat something, they send you a picture, it deletes within 10 seconds. Gone. Your work is gone. It's into the ether. And just like radio, too, it's into the ether a second after you listen to it. I thought, why don't I cut down some trees? Why don't I give you something you can stick in your desk, pull out 10 years later and say, oh, yeah, I remember that Andy guy. He's a pretty funny guy. He had some talented friends. They put together this little fanzine. So, yes, as I said, the only way to become part of the mailing list is to call 630-341-3022, leave a voicemail with your mailing address, or obviously on all the social medias you can contact me direct and give me your mailing address that way. And I really do appreciate the 29 people who are charter subscribers of the Honeycomb, and we've had a couple more for the second issue, and I just hope to keep seeing it grow. It's a labor of love. It's completely free. This week we've got Jay Pork's, or actually this month, it's a monthly thing. So for March we've got Jay Pork's Grammy reactions. We got a cool picture of Kanye and Beck. We've got artwork by Superfan Dan, which has just been announced to be the director of publicity for Dare Network, my little podcast network. You've got articles by me. You've got a live review, Guided by Voices, Rock the Chicago Green Festival from last summer. And, yes, Tyler Kale in with some celebrity doppelgangers and a little girlfriend rule. Thanks, Tyler, for all the cool work you've been doing. And, so the Honeycomb. You can't like it on Facebook. You can't follow it on Twitter. You've just got to go out to your mailbox and find a new issue every month. Want to thank everybody who's checked it out so far. That about does it for my spiel. I just want to keep it kind of short. We got a cool chat with Chris Laxamana. And, next week I'll read you an Empty Lighthouse article of mine. We'll do a Tape Tuesday next week. I just thought I would keep it kind of simple and short. And without further ado, my episode 139, The End of My Youth, with special guest Chris Laxamana. Hey everybody, thank you so much for checking out the Andy Dare Show. Today it is episode 139, and I'm joined by producer for Carolla Digital, Chris Laxamana. How you doing, buddy?
Good, Andy. Thanks for having me on.
Sweet. Yes, you are one of a long line of people who have worked for Carolla. And, I've had all the way back to Katie Levine, Tyler Kale, who now does a show on my network, who was actually Singleton on the Daves of Thunder podcast. I don't know.
Yes, he was.
Yeah. So
I was Donovan.
Yeah, you were Donovan. Okay, nice. So it's all like one big family. Carolla's celebrating, 6 years doing the podcast?
Yeah, just 6 years in last month.
And how long have you been part of the fray? So you were part of it back in the Daves of Thunder days? Yeah,
Daves of Thunder was actually the first show I worked on it. It was 5 years ago. It was Carolla was about a year into it already, and then I got hired to be a sound guy.
Okay.
At least intern there. And then when I got there, they said, okay, let's have you work on this that we just started. So
nice.
2 of Days of Thunder. What it was is, so I worked there every Saturday morning. Because that's the only time that we could get the Daves there. And I had no idea what it was, and it turned out to be probably the funniest thing I've ever worked on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great classic show. It had a short run, but a lot of classic moments. How about The Ed? Are you familiar with The Ed?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, I only from the show.
Yeah.
I haven't even thought about him in so long, and he was a character.
Wow.
Yeah, actually, about in 2012, I did an interview with him. First I did Rich Banks, which, the music guy for all
I love Rich Banks.
He's a genius with all of his spoofs, and also a totally down-to-earth, nice guy. And then the next week, I get a random text from an unknown number saying, "Hey, man, it's the Ed. When you having me on you show?" And I'm like, all right, I'll have you tomorrow. I'll totally clear my schedule. The Ed is hilarious. Yeah. And, yes, we're friends on Facebook. He says the most random, weird, sexist stuff on there, but it's still funny. And then, fast forward to 2012, later that year, I'm at the Carolla show in Joliet, and I see who's the other producer? Not Mike, not Dawson, but Mike Lynch. Yeah, Mike Lynch comes up to me, and I give him my business card, and I've said, yeah, my best episode is with the Ed. And then he goes, oh, yeah, I knew about him all the way back when we just thought he was some random caller. And then he said, okay, but gotta go. So he left me with this, real cliffhanger of a situation. I'm like, who is the Ed? Is he somebody famous with and that's what we all thought, and we're thinking it's some writer. I don't know if you can shine any light on it. Obviously, you probably can't.
I can't.
Just thought of him for the first
It was actually, to us, at least to me, because I don't know how damage happened, but yeah, he's like, oh, the Ed's gonna call, and it was, there's a couple groans and then a couple of oh gee, what do we expect every time.
Nice.
Okay.
All right, and how about taking it back for the listeners here? What kind of guy were you in high school? Were you a radio guy? Were you a music guy? Were you a combination of the two? Or?
I definitely wasn't a radio guy at all. I was, in fact, I never even listened to talk radio or anything like that since we started working for the show.
Okay.
Or we even really knew what a podcast was. So, music, definitely. I think that's the only thing. I was obsessed with the guitar.
Awesome.
I was 15, and all I did was play guitar. And actually, that's all my friends now are friends because I made friends with them because what we had in common in high school is we all played music. Cool. And it was kind of like the glue that kept us all together and really brought us together. And it was amazing. We were in terrible punk bands and pop punk bands and things like that. And but it was so fun, and it was the only thing about high school that I really, really enjoyed. Other than that, I was, I guess, music guy, definitely not a radio guy.
Yeah, well, I guess we kind of have that in common. Playing music with buddies on the weekends was something that got me through the week pretty much, and I was just watching the clock every day during school. When does Friday come around so I can jam with my buddies?
Yeah.
And so you said you played in some crappy pop punk bands.
I really big in Blink-182.
I was going to say that because you're out in California. They were pretty much you couldn't get away from them. And are you in your late 20s or what? What's your age? If I can ask?
29.
Nice. Yeah, I'm 31, so pretty much the same demographic here. Same with Fondelier and all them.
Yeah.
But
Gary is Nat at work. They love Blink.
Yeah, so you went from the pop punk sounds to now you're kind of doing a little bit of a singer-songwriter, not quite kind of with dashboard with balls, I'd call it, maybe.
Well, I've never heard that. Thanks, though. That's cool. I've heard a bunch of different things. Some people say something like Brad Knoll.
Sure.
Chris Daughtry. There's a lot of range of what people are saying. One guy said it was Bill from Mahoney he does our game walking on the show.
Nice.
He pulled me aside. He said, "You sound like he took the voice of an angry black man and he's furious that he can't get it back." Or so I was he came up with this crazy story about it. And that was just
nice.
The funniest thing. And it's a really nice compliment. I'm terrible at taking compliments, but so as far as I don't even know what it is. But yeah, all I know is I like to play guitar and sing, and this singer-songwriter. Yeah, I tried to incorporate a little bit like an edgier blues feel to it a little bit, but totally different than pop punk days in high school.
But it is kind of nice, not having to have to completely put up with 3 or 4 other guys getting a show together, getting everybody in the van at the same time, making sure everybody shows up on time. If it's just you and your guitar,
it used to be so much easier in high school, but now people. After high school, people get lives and they get, that is the hardest thing right now being in a band is, at least for me at my age and, where I am, it's scheduling. It's terrible. Like, I have a full-time job. Like, the other guys that I play with have jobs, and it's really hard to get us all together in a room and dedicate ourselves to doing that. So it's super random. Like, we don't even have a set schedule.
But it is kind of nice to... It's kind of nice to be able to pull it off just with yourself and a guitar and a microphone if you had to, just like you did on the Front of House podcast. That was a great episode, by the way. Dawson was really nice when I got to meet him here in Chicago, got to hang out with Gary and Mike Dawson. And even the Stone Pelican, too, was there, too. I'm just hanging out at the sound booth, and I'm like, that looks like Katie Lang. It's Mike August.
Yeah, that is. He really does look like Katie Lang. It's funny. I can't look at Katie Lang the same.
Yeah, not anymore. So Mike Dawson does his own show, Front of House podcast, and he's a complete sound guy. I'm coming from working in a food place, and I'm thinking front of house is like a restaurant term. He goes, oh no, bro, it's actually it's where the exact center of the venue is, where the perfect sound emanates from, or to, or whatever, and so it all makes sense.
It's like the opposite backstage.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, chugging Miller Lights. And so you did an episode with him, and you pretty much
that's super fun.
You taped a live EP, and it's great, and it's available now. ChrisLaxamana.com. I guess I was drawn to The End of My Youth is a standout for me, and kind of just like what you were talking about, how high school days, it was more of fun. Everybody's just wasting time, just hanging out together, don't have a lot on the plate. But now you flash forward, you're 29, and everybody's got lives and pregnant girlfriends and jobs and bank accounts.
And what else is commitments. Like, there are decisions you make now that really, that you can't really turn back. I'm like, when you're younger, you just...
Sure.
Yeah, that's what a lot of times is really just committing to something.
Nice.
And say goodbye to your younger years.
Yeah, so it's sort of a bittersweet thing. It's a moving on song, but what kind of guitar do you play?
That was a Taylor 714 CE.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a beautiful guitar. I don't think I'll ever come across anything better. And I also play with an Ovation Balladeer, too. And
is that like a smaller body on there, or?
It's actually Ovations they're famous because they have the fiberglass back.
Oh, okay.
And It's curved, and it's almost impossible to play it in your lap because it just slides right off because I got that. I really like the neck on that guitar. It's a little bit of a smaller neck, and it's a lot more towards like an electric guitar's neck, where it's smaller and a little more circular, not as flat.
Sure. Do you play heavy gauge strings or light gauge strings?
I play a little heavier. I'm definitely on electric. I play 11s.
Nice.
And then I tune a half step down, and then just because for a while I really wanted to be like Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Nice.
And that's what I heard he did. And then for acoustic I play light gauge strings.
Nice, yeah. I was hearing that debate, and I'm watching live from Daryl's house, and they got the guy from ZZ Top is the guest, Billy Gibbons, and he can just solo with the best of them. And he goes, "Yeah, when I was a young rocker, I was backstage with B.B. King, and we switched guitars." And he goes, "Man, why do you play such heavy gauge strings? Well, why are you working so hard for your notes?" And then he goes, voila. So then he got the light gauge strings, and now you don't bash up your fingers as much. You can bend, you can do crazy things.
Interesting. The only reason I switched is because I like the tone of it. Like it just because when I used to play out of a Strat, it always sounded really thin and tinny. So I thought if I got a little bit of a thicker string, it wouldn't sound as tinny.
Sure.
And it totally changed the tone. And then I ended up getting my guitar set up to those strings.
Nice.
Yeah, and I love it. Like if everything else just feels too thin now, so I need that thickness.
Yeah, you get the thickness for the strumming. It's almost like a metallic strum sound to it. I love that as well. There's both sides of the coin on that discussion. But yeah, so you got the 6-track EP up now, chrislaxamana.com. Are you thinking about doing a studio recording, and would that be also with Mike Dawson, or do you have other guys to do that?
That is definitely a goal. And I do plan on doing some sort of studio album at least this year, hopefully as soon as possible. I have a pretty good number of songs that I want to do. It's just the only part is time. It's really, really hard for me to just find time to sit down because I'm really particular and picky when it comes to recording music.
Sure.
So it takes so I'm definitely gonna need a lot of time. Like I don't know if you heard the Resume podcast, but like the theme song on it. Yeah, I recorded that with my friend Trevor, and yeah, it took me forever just to even like get the guitar down, and that was just like a little 10-second loop.
Nice.
So I'm really scared to see what happens when I actually record songs and like songs that I wrote and really care about.
Yeah, like it's a weird thing, and I've seen it kill bands before where they record the same song for 7 years. You know, it's like
I don't want that though.
You got eventually you got to be like you got to give away your baby. You got to just say move on to the next one. Otherwise,
that's what I think.
Yeah, you'll just be going on the same song for 6 years, tweaking this, tweaking that.
That's my biggest problem right now is I'm just married to everything, and I gotta kind of be able to let it go and put it out there and just like be okay with it. Because it's weird because when I'm jamming with my friends, I'll put a record in the middle of them, and we won't play it perfectly at all, but I'll listen to that a million times and I love it.
Nice.
And so it's funny that like I'm okay with that, but then when it's like a studio recording where I can actually get real detailed and go through everything with a fine-tooth comb, I get really crazy about it. So I just need to relax, and that's something I'm working on. But once I figure that out, I'll definitely have an album.
Yeah, as being like a producer, I would say this is a snapshot of your life from this 3-month period of time. Anything after that, then you're moving on to the next project.
Move on.
Yeah, move on.
I think so. Yeah, I think I just need to keep churning it out, and that's definitely something that I'm working on.
Yo, what goes on, people? Jay Porks here. Just reminding you to keep it locked to the Deer Network throughout 2015, where you can get the Tyler Cale Show, the smooth, sultry tones of the Jay Porks Experience, or the Andy Deer Show. Keep it locked to andydeer.com. 2015, big things coming.
Awesome. Yeah, and back to the Carolla stuff. What kind of schedule are you pulling off there? Is it 6 or 7 days a week now, or?
Yeah, pretty much. Like what I do is, it takes up a lot of time. I manage Adam's website, Dr. Drew's website, Carcast, Adam and Dr. Drew's show, and I'm there for recordings of all those shows too. And a lot of them I edit, put up, I post them on iTunes, everything. So, and all those shows air on different days, so it's like kind of tough to juggle all of that.
Sure.
Now because I picked up Carcast, and there's like a video element to that which I've been working on.
Crazy.
And yeah, so it's it's a lot of fun, but it's a ton of work. And so I'm there probably 6 days a week, but I've definitely been there 7. I've what I call a South Parking it, because after watching that documentary in South Park where they're like sleeping there, I've definitely done that.
Oh, sure.
A few times at the studio. Yeah, just working long hours, working real hard. But I just want to put out a product that people can enjoy, and I take a lot of pride in it, and it's really important to me. So
that's awesome. It's not just for Adam, it's not just for the rest of the guys, but it's also something that you can put yourself out there and say, hey, this is something that I helped out with. It's something that's from my heart and soul. Blood, sweat, and tears were lost doing this, so let's make sure it's a good thing, right?
Yeah. And also just making sure that people enjoy it. Like even when I was a waiter, like if something happened to a table, I would be really upset. Like I would take it personally and want to do everything I could to make them happy. Like it's just like I don't know. I enjoy making other people happier, and giving them something that I can be proud of.
That's really awesome.
And something to walk away with, and that's important to me.
And even to the music too, same thing, right?
Yeah, and that might be why I'm so picky. I got to figure that out.
Nice, but yeah, well, just a couple more things here. You got the brand new podcast on Carolla Digital. How did that come about? Usually, it's usually just people that are friends with Carolla and not the people that are working for him. So how did that end up?
Well, I had this idea a few months about doing this podcast that where I would go over like the jobs that people work.
Sure.
Because, a lot of times I would ask people about, that, or it always interests me. Like, if someone would bring that up, that's the topic I would hang on to and have a conversation about. And then Adam, like, whenever he would talk about working at McDonald's or digging ditches, I loved hearing that because it's like, look where you are now, and that's what you were doing. That's crazy to me.
Sure. Nice.
And so I like hearing that other people and just seeing where they came from or what they had to do. And it kind of brings everybody to like us at the same level, which is kind of fun. And yeah, it's just something I just really, really enjoy talking about. And decided podcast, like, somebody should do a podcast. The more and more I thought about it, it's like I could probably do it. And then one day I saw two warehouses, and they're about a block away from each other, back and forth each one. So he's walking out of our studio to his other warehouse, and I just walked with him that one day, and I just looked at him. Jokingly, I said, Adam, I have a huge business proposition for you. And he's like, and he already kind of knew, like, oh, geez, what's this going to be? Because he gets that all the time. And I said, well, I want to start my own podcast. And then I kind of just gave him the spiel, what it was about. And by the time we got to the other warehouse, he was totally in. Like he said, it was a great idea, and he'd love to be on it. So he's going to be on it pretty soon. Yeah.
Sometimes it just takes, just sacking up and saying, just putting yourself out there. What could be the worst thing? If I ask him, he might just say no. Big deal,
Yeah. Well, I think I even prefaced it with, "This is going to happen with you or without you."
Oh,
so,
nice.
I was going to do it. I was going to do it anyways, but I just wanted to know if I could do it on the network, just for promotion and just because I think once again it's something that I'd be proud of putting out, and I think it'd be kind of cool.
That's really cool, being part of the pirate ship, 6 years plus now. Did you ever think that when you first started interning for them that you'd have your own show on the network?
No, I couldn't even. I don't think I even spoke into a mic for the first 2 years I was there. I remember the first time I spoke on mic ever. Well, other than Days Thunder, which like the joke was I didn't talk. On Adam's show we did a what can Adam complain about? Okay. But for that bit is where people give Adam things that they don't think he can complain about, and he proves them wrong, like puppies. Sure. But what it started turning into was request for rant. Like people say, "Oh, I bet you can't complain about, chicken shit tickets and stuff." So it's like, okay, people weren't starting to get it. So we decided to do a staff edition where to just remind the listeners like what we want, like puppies, wine, like things that what we don't think Adam can complain about. And mine was, so I had to go on mic and say mine was going to be the green turn arrow. I remember specifically because I was horrified. Like, oh, jeez. And I remember I stuttered and I stumbled through it and I couldn't even spit it out. And he was just dying laughing because I was having so much trouble speaking in the mic and just saying green light, right turn arrows or something. I can't even say it now. A little PTSD there, but nice. And it was he even said like, and why am I paying you? I mean, it was pretty funny. I had a lot of people busting my balls about that afterwards, but that was the first time I ever spoke on mic. So definitely, I never thought I would ever have my own show, let alone because I could barely spit anything out. And
let alone have Dr. Drew be your first guest, right?
Oh, that was so cool. Yeah, definitely not. I'm still like that guy's just on a different level. He's so cool.
Yeah, I've been listening to him and actually Adam since late 1995 when Adam was still with Ricky Ratman and Dr. Drew. So I was 11 years old. I wasn't supposed to be listening to this late radio show, putting my head next to the speaker, real low volume. And it's been quite an awesome trip with you guys. How about any upcoming guests? You said Adam's coming on. Who else are we going to be expecting on Resume?
Next week, what I'm doing, I'm trying to turn the tables a little bit, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to have these guys that I work with who aren't actually celebrities, but they have some crazy stories because one of them is a plumber, one of them is a locksmith. I'm gonna have them teach us how to pick a lock on air. And
Nice.
yeah, and just like, and they've had crazy jobs and crazy stories. They've seen some shit. They work for Adam now. They work in his race shop, and they're like two guys from Connecticut. They're just totally different than anything I've ever heard.
Is that Matt D'Andrea or no? That's
No, this is Rob O'Connell and Tom Pelkey, and they work in Adam's shop.
nice.
And yeah, so they have crazy stories, and and I had to have them on. And what I'm gonna do is it's gonna kind of show like it doesn't really matter who is gonna be on my show. I just want to get the stories out there and get a wide range of, because everybody has really crazy work stories.
Yeah,
And,
I'll give you one right now. I worked for Ace Hardware from like year 2000 to 2002, and it was an old building, and they had a huge flood in their basement. And I show up to work. It's cold Chicago morning, and a freezing flood in the bottom of this basement, and all of the bags of fertilizer have like ripped open, and there's bright orange fertilizer all over my pants. It's up to my ankles, and it's our job to bring these heavy soaked bags of fertilizer up the staircase and into the dumpster. And that was my Saturday back in 2001.
Oh.
So yeah, anything I do now, I look back on that and I can smile.
at least it's not that.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's
Also,
yep.
Yeah, and also and then the third week I've already booked AJ McLean from the Backstreet Boys.
Really?
Yeah, so it's there's gonna be some range.
Nice. Yeah, I liked him when he's on with Adam and stuff like that. I'll be interested in hearing his. I'm sure it has to do with like a Disney World or something, like some weird job doing that or something. I don't know. But.
Yeah. I'm very curious, and a lot of it's actually going to be like a reverse resume, like what have you been up to since then, kind of thing too.
Yeah, sure.
So, but yeah, I mean, we haven't recorded it yet, so I don't know what to expect, but I'm really excited to have him on, and I have a couple other maybes, and I'll just keep those quiet until they're confirmed because I don't want to.
Okay, cool. But yeah, weekly episode on. It's actually on ChrisLaxamana.com and AdamCarolla.com.
Yeah.
Can't miss it. Get the app for the iPhone and smartphones. The Adam Carolla app's got all the shows on there. ChrisLaxamana.com. That gives you over to the EP and for the recording with Mike Dawson. Twitter is Chris Laxamana. Facebook, all that good stuff, right?
Yeah, I'm on all that stuff, and yeah, thanks, man.
Hey, thank you for taking the time out. I know we had a little terrible connection, but I think it's going to come out pretty decent. And,
Something funny, too. Right after this, I'm heading to Costa Mesa to go to a Blink-182 concert.
Wait, so it's with the new singer, right? The Alkaline Trio guy?
Yeah, Matt Skiba from Alkaline Trio is going to be playing guitar and singing, so I'm very curious, because I'm of Alkaline Trio, too, so...
Yeah, I'm going to tell you what, I think they might have made a smooth move with that, because I think Tom DeLonge has gone crazy with his aliens and his crazy conspiracies and stuff.
But yeah, it is pretty interesting what's going on, but I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I wanted to go. There was a festival in Chicago that they played that I really was considering flying out for.
Riot Fest or something? Yeah.
Yeah, Riot Fest, yeah.
Nice. Well, next time you're in Chicago, if you're doing a Carolla event, or I don't know if you ever come out to those, but say hi, and if I'm
I'd love to, man.
If I'm ever in the neighborhood of the warehouse, I'll give you guys a ring and swing by as well.
Yeah, my number. Give me a call, or text me or something whenever you're in the area.
All right, sounds good. So ChrisLaxamana.com gives you the podcast resume, it gives you the music, and it gives you everything he's up to. Any last words, Chris?
No, just thank you.
All right, thank you too. And on behalf of Chris Laxamana, this is Andy signing off for the Andy Darer Show. This episode of the Andy Dare Show is brought to you in part by Uncle Bub's award-winning barbecue in Westmont, Illinois. Family owned and operated since 1997, Uncle Bub's is the real deal barbecue. A family-friendly restaurant open 7 days a week. Also, it's a full-service catering company doing weddings, pig roasts, luau's, grill packages, you name it. They have a friendly, helpful staff that will make sure that your party goes off without a hitch. Call them at 630-493-9000. Visit them at 132 South Cass Avenue in Westmont, Illinois, and UncleBubs.com. Hey man, I know you like grilling. I know you like getting those dark grill marks on your burgers, fish, chicken. And I know you don't want to just dry your meat out like you're cooking with a hairdryer. Why not get the Man Grate and click through the AndyDareShow.com's banner
so we can keep the lights on here at Honeycomb Hideout Studios in gorgeous Westmont, Illinois. The Man Great. This episode of The Andy Dare Show is brought to you in part by Record Utopia, a music lover's dream with thousands of vinyl records, musical instruments, and sound gear. They buy, sell, and trade. Give them a call at 630-963-1957. Visit them in Westmont, Illinois at 309 West Ogden Avenue, on the web at recordutopia.com. It's always a good, relaxed atmosphere. Check them out, Record Utopia.
Hey there, Andy Dare Show fans. Dan here from Upper Michigan. I do the Superfan Dan podcast, and you can also find me at superfan_Dan on Twitter. I just did a series of interviews on a short film called Dead Metaphors. You can find a link to that on my Twitter page. My buddy Steve has a lead role in the film. You know how when you're from a small town and there's always that one person that leaves and does some real cool things? Well, that's Steve. He worked with Metallica, played in Jason Newsted's band Papa Wheelie, acted in a bunch of movies with Sean Penn. Anyway, I talked to him about all that and his latest film project, Dead Metaphors. I also talked with the director, producer, and a sound guy, even the cameraman. So check that out and enjoy the Andy Dare Show. Thanks, Andy. Talk to you later.
Be sure to follow Andy on Twitter, that's at Andy Dare, and like our show on Facebook, that's facebook.com/The Andy Dare Show. Videos at youtube.com/Andrew Martin Dare, and we're on iTunes, just search The Andy Dare Show, please leave a review. Thanks so much to our wonderful sponsors, Uncle Bub's award-winning barbecue, Record Utopia, The Man Great, and Amazon.com. Theme song courtesy of Rich Banks Music. Thank you so much for checking out The Andy Dare Show. TheAndyDareShow.com.